I was asked recently by a teammate about some, very basic formation positioning techniques. So I thought that, hey, I might do that and make it into a series. And what I'm going to be covering straight off is archer positioning, or specifically how to position and or counter position against basic archer fire. It's going to be very basic for most people, so maybe not for everybody, but that's okay. Very little is known about the archer targeting formula. Unlike the spell AI formula, it has not been cracked, and nobody has conclusively proven anything about it. However, they do target by squad, and they tend to lock on and stick with the squad until either someone gets close enough to them or something else happens. So the way to minimize that is by having a lot of squads. Now, don't put all your troops in squads of 3 just because it minimizes archer fire, but that's how you do it. In addition to multiple squads, you want a lot of bait. So the archers will fire at things they are in range of, so you could put these even further back. That might actually be a good idea, just to demonstrate. But you put your bait up front, so the archers will lock on and fire at it. And these are squads. I could make more squads with more morale malices, because their morale doesn't matter that much. They're mainly there to get shot at. And these slingers will do just fine. Fire and keep distance, they'll bait out the archer shots. Then another thing you can do, this is a lesser archer bait, they're in sparse line. The other thing is lines and sparse lines. So what we've got is we've got a sparse line of javelins, and then we've got lines of these amphibite noble warriors. They're not really that vulnerable against archers in the first place, but we have lines. That is because when you have your archer scatter, let's say, it scatters around a center point in all directions. It doesn't follow a line back and forth when it scatters and just scatter along the lateral. They'll scatter in a plot. So if you have a box, you have a lot greater chances of a scattered shot hitting you, whereas if you are in a line, anything that scatters in front of or behind that line is not going to hit you. The other thing we've done, we've split our line into multiple squads, so that just because archers lock onto one of our squads, they will not necessarily lock on to the other one. We put these guys on attack rear to avoid the mid-mosh, which is something we'll get into later, but they are going to be doing that. So that is our correct anti-archer setup. Each mage or mage with its bodyguard also counts as a squad. So if you ever notice during expansion, you'll get locked onto by archers and they'll just deterministically kill your mage or priest sometimes. That's because you typically have very few squads in expansion, and so sometimes whatever formula they're rolling will just be like, alright, well, we've locked onto your priest, and that's your only commander, and you only have 1 or 2 squads of infantry, so it's a pretty high chance of that happening, and then he dies, and then you lose an expansion party, and then you go in the forums and get mad at it. That's okay. On the other side, we have Sadia, and we are going to be doing this wrong. This is not a fair test. This is a demonstration. So they are just putting all their archers in a shame cube on fire. Could do fire closest with a minimal line screen. It's not totally fucked, but just a minimal line screen of melee troops and just a big block of archers. There's more of these than the number of any guys, so they could win. We also have a little bit of PD here, so they could win, but I don't think they will. So let's see what happens. We have our mid-mosh, and they are moving past their guards because their guards were on hold and attack while these guys were just on fire. And some of them have locked onto this squad, but as you can see, there are arrows landing near it. Maybe this isn't the best example because shields are blocking a lot. We'll also have guys who have walked up and decided to fire at the guys with javelins and slings. So our main lines are not really getting hit by these archers. They're all shooting over here. These guys aren't dying. We have our one line has engaged their guards, and the other two, because they are on attack rear and not attack closest, are moving past and actually engaging some archers or flanking the main line instead of all piling up in the mid to get moshed on. So we lose the javelins. That's okay. We do get stuck in the mid, surprisingly, but since we flank them with the attack rear, it's not going to take very long for us to get past that and push into this main, like, 100 guy, I forgot how many I included, big, strong archer blob. And then they're going to start getting cut up. So I'm going to just run this battle to conclusion. Kind of doesn't matter if we win or lose. We lost a little bit to morale there, but we're going to be fighting them, and eventually Maverny wins. And so that gives us this result. Granted, these guys are kind of better than the Sarmatian guys. They're kind of good against archers. They have a shield. So maybe they would have just won anyway in a box. But as you can see, very limited damage from the archers. And on the other side, the Maverny slingers even got some kills because they were firing at the giant stupid shamebox. So they actually did, these 24 baits were almost half as effective as the archers. Granted, these archers are very bad. You might even have, these guys might even be better against range magic than these guys, but I think that shows you what the correct formation is. The Ambionites lost 23 of their number, so maybe these numbers are not quite... Oh, there's some friendly fire on the Sarmatian side, which is expected. No. Yeah, there is. Which is expected, but it's not that big of a deal. And the melee troops just chop them up. So that's that for deploying against archers.